Hey, everybody. So we're having some technical difficulties. My guest, Melanie, and her sister, Carolyn, so they had to go out and come back in. So I just thought I'd go ahead and go live and let some people come in. Um, I'll go ahead and, well, I guess I could go ahead and read the intro. They're rebooting their computers, so they're having problems hearing me. Everything else, they're restarting. So let me tell them I already went live. I went live, so come on in when you can. Okay, so basically, I'm in my van in Jensen Beach. I'm using Starlink. It's pretty stormy out. Hopefully, we're gonna make it through. But this is gonna be all about boat buying. Um, my guest was on the show before, episode 22. This is episode 65, which is pretty unbelievable. When I started this, back in November of 23. So she's bringing her sister on. They both are with Sunshine Cruising Yachts, which is a brokerage. And I've got my cats with me, by the way. I guess you guessed. Anyway, I'm going to go ahead and read this introduction, and hopefully they'll come back in soon here. So, here we go. Maybe they get to hear it.
You, but now we're on my computer and we don't have the camera.
We are live. I just went for it. We are live. So you work that out, and I'll go ahead and. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Excellent. Okay.
Yes.
All right. You work that out, and I'm going to go ahead and read the introduction. Okay.
Awesome.
All right. We got about 6 people watching, so watch your language. Just kidding. Okay. Today's episode is all about boat buying, and I've got the perfect guest for that. Looks like we got 2 of you here. Which one is which? I'm gonna take this one. Okay. Oh, y'all are echo. Okay. Can you hear me? Are we all good? Carolyn, we got to get you in there. Go ahead and move over. Are you echoing a little bit? Let me do something to your mic here. I can hear myself echoing. All right. I'm gonna mute you so I can read this introduction. Okay, still having difficulties. Anyway, okay, so today's episode is all about boat buying, and I've got the perfect guest for it. Joining me is Melanie Sunshine Neal, a yacht broker, lifelong sailor, and returning guest here on the podcast. You might remember her from episode 22, where we talked about life growing up on a sailboat. Where is she? She can't hide. Now she helps buyers through every step of the process. And just releasing a brand new book, right? Boat Buying Basics, which breaks it all down in plain language. There's a link to it in the episode description. If you're going to order that book, please use the link in the description. It's kind of a pre-order thing. It's coming out August 5th, I think. This time she's back, and she's brought her sister Carolyn, who also works in yacht sales and shares that same salty upbringing. See what I did there? Oh my gosh, echo.
Didn't see echo again. I think it's
okay. Ready?
I'm using one computer for
What's that going? Let me see what I can do here. Edit mic settings.
Sorry, guys.
All right, let me try that. Okay.
We did all test everything earlier.
Yeah. All right. We said whatever happens, we're just going to go with it. Okay, so Carolyn, She also works in yacht sales and shares the same salty upbringing. I think that's pretty cool, the way to say it. After college and charting her own course, Carolyn found her way to the boating world in her own right. Together, we're diving deep into what it really takes. Maybe that was you, Melanie. Together, we're diving deep into what it really takes to buy a boat in today's market, from qualifying to closing, and some things you might not see coming. I'm Captain Tinsley of sailing vessel Salty Abandon and Island Packet 320, and this is the Salty Podcast, episode 65. Please help me welcome Melanie and Carolyn. I hope we don't echo. Welcome. All right, we should have probably done a tech test before. What is that behind you? Is that a camera?
That's a speaker.
What is it?
It works.
Is it a
It's like
camera?
no,
Oh
it's
man.
it's like a lot of big, a little bit doesn't work.
Okay, we got to get your mic working here. Let's see what's going on here. I'm gonna uncheck all this stuff. Now try it.
All right, can you hear us?
Okay, that's better. Okay, I unchecked a few things in there. Oh, she turned off her mic. Okay, turn it back on. We got 8 people watching. Let's see what they
All right.
we cuss like sailors.
Yes.
I think
Hi,
these are some
Chad.
people you might know. All right. So I do have some questions, but feel free to take over. You're the boat broker. I'm in real estate, by the way. So I want, if you think that we need to cover something, you guys jump in, okay? So I have some questions, and that will kind of steer us. If you want to talk about some listings, all that, you can. Okay, so anything you want to do like that. First of all, say hello, introduce yourselves.
All right, go ahead.
Hi, I'm Carolyn Denman, and I am Melanie's little sister.
Yeah.
And I now work for her.
Yeah, how long have you been selling yachts? Is this a new thing for you?
I believe it about a year and a half. I started.
Oh.
Yeah, I started last February. Yeah.
How do you like it?
I love it. I was apprehensive at first, just because I never really considered myself someone that would, sell things.
Yeah.
But it just really came naturally because it's something that I just kind of was raised with and know so much about and care so much for that it just kind of worked itself out.
Yeah, and if you don't know who these girls are, Melanie wrote a book, Boat Girl, which I read, and it's fascinating. So these guys grew up on a sailboat with their parents. Melanie from the age of 0, because your mom was pregnant when they got on the boat, right? And so you spent 18 years, and I assume you did too, Carolyn, on the boat?
Yes, actually 19.
That's incredible. And it's just fascinating because you did the boat school, the hunt school, whatever, and that was before internet. You guys had to mail in your tests and everything.
Yeah.
So
Yes, snail mail.
that is so awesome. And if you want to read that book, I should have included a link to that one. That one's Boat Girl, and you can get it, on Amazon or wherever. I listened to it. It was a great listen, so I appreciate that. Now, we didn't get Carolyn's side of things, so feel free to correct anything in this podcast. Melanie,
I'll call her out.
you want to go ahead and introduce yourself, Melanie?
Yeah, it's funny too because I know we talked about the book last time I was on here a bit, and it's the book is. A memoir is one person's point of view, right? It's one person's point of view of what happened, one person's memory. So there are a lot of things that Carolyn has, and my parents, of course, have completely different memories of that, we we just,
I'm
it's just
sure.
the way our minds work. But yeah, we grew up living aboard a Gulf Star 47, cruising up and down the East Coast and Bahamas in the winter, and we never went to a regular school, so homeschooled all the way up until we went to college. And Carolyn and I shared the V-berth, which was basically our feet touching every night, in the V-berth. her trying to keep her stuff on her side and me trying to keep my stuff on my side. We had a little curtain in between.
It must have been unbelievable when you went, like if you went to a dorm or something. Well, I think you were living on a boat, Melanie, when you went to college. But it would have been like, oh, there's so much room here.
Yeah, in a dorm.
Yeah. Okay, so I don't want to take up the time with that. I know you wrote the book in 2013, and I know you're probably like, I've written other books since then, right? So, but it is a fascinating. Everybody should read it. It's awesome. If you want to learn about kids growing up in Georgetown or on the boat, it's so cool.
Oh yeah.
And so that gives you some unique qualifications to sell the dream, which as I call it, to other people. So we want to get into some of that, but let's start with the basics. What should a first-time boat buyer be thinking about before they ever call a broker?
So it's good to go, go from the beginning, and that's the book. We'll stop talking about my books, but the book, Boat Buying Basics. That's exactly what we start out, with. And what should a person think about at first? And the biggest thing is, what are you going to do with the boat? What are your plans? Are you sailing around the world with your family? Are you spending weekends, sailing? Are you looking for something to just live aboard at the dock? What are you going to do? So, and a lot of people don't even really, have a full concept of that. They may just want to be trying it out. They may want to get a boat that they can just learn how to sail on, and then in a year they decide they want to do it full time, or in a year they decide they're sick of it. But, just sitting down and like even making a checklist of, what do I want to do? Where do I want to go? Who's going with me? Am I going to have crew? Is do I need an offshore boat? And just going over all of those things, and then assuming that you're working with a buyer's broker, you would call the buyer's broker, and they would set up an initial meeting with you to go over those things. And we both, I think, because of our our background being boat kids and all that, really like working as buyers brokers for families. Carolyn, I mean, we both like, I feel like we know what the kids want.
Exactly. Yeah.
So, yeah.
Okay. Well, what's one thing buyers consistently underestimate during the buying process? Repairs.
Yes. Sometimes.
Yeah, and that's, I think the cost of owning a boat, the typical formula is that the boat's going to cost you about 10% of its value every year, but that's just kind of an average. And the first year that you own a boat, you're going to have a lot more expenses, because your surveyor is going to let you know if anything major is wrong, but there's going to be a lot of things that you didn't realize were wrong, or that you have to repair unexpectedly, or all that. So I think that's something that people don't really think about. You don't just buy the boat and you're done.
Yeah.
Right, and they might underestimate the regular repairs that come up on a boat. Carolyn just sighed. She went.
I didn't.
I mean, but you guys got to see. I mean, you were living it, and you got to experience fixing things yourselves. I mean, you guys learned. I mean, your dad wasn't just letting you off easy. I mean, it's just like when you drove the dinghy. You could drive the dinghy by yourself once you changed the plug.
Yeah.
Did you hear that?
We're still kind of having some issues hearing.
That's all right. We got people. We got people here. And how do we sound, you guys? Let us know how we sound. I hear an echo on your side, but so are you hearing me now? Test 1 2. Is that a good copy?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So I like how your dad. Oh yeah, go back over there. Put your foot in the middle. Go back a little more. Yeah. Good. Okay. That we're going to be doing clips from this, so you need to be centered. Marcy Lynn says, "I hear an echo. I kind of dig it." That's funny.
Hi, Marcy.
Thank you. I like it. All right, let me see if I can fix that real quick.
We could start saying
Echo. How about that? Okay. I don't know what you just said, but I think the echo's gone. How about it, Marcy? Greetings from Puerto Rico. Okay. Cool. But what I was saying is, the echo's back. When your dad would, she's still there, that you could drive the dinghy when you were able to change the spark plugs, right?
Yep.
Yes. And more.
So, and more. Yeah. So tell me about that.
Well, it was sort of, Dinghy was our car. Basically, it was the way to get off the boat and go do things and go see other kids and all that. So there was a lot of incentive to learn how to fix things.
Yes.
It was a lot of what?
Incentive. Yeah.
Incentives. Oh, okay. Like what do you mean incentives?
To get off what you were just saying.
Yeah. Get off the boat. get away from people.
Oh, okay. I got you. Okay, I got you. Okay. So back to the buying process. Is there a sweet spot size or price range that tends to work best for liveaboards or cruisers?
I would say, that's a tough question, but I would say kind of in the 40-foot range is good or above to start out, unless you're just single handing.
Yeah. Okay. Like if there's a family.
Yeah. It depends on the size of the family. There's really no one size fits all. But I always tell people, if you feel like you have just enough space now, you're not going to have just enough space when you're on the boat.
Okay.
I just lost you sound-wise completely.
I didn't hear that. I think you're muted. You're muted. So Screaming Frog 68 says wax a hat. I don't know what that is, but I can't hear you. So we're having some difficulties here, but y'all just hang in with us. Ask some questions because they can definitely read. Call and see what's going on. Oh.
Hi.
So you have two open there. You must have something open on another device, maybe?
Well, now we're on my phone.
Oh,
Hear you on this.
oh,
So-
wow, that's so much better. Okay, everybody
Yeah.
hang in there with us. Yeah, that is a lot better.
Good.
Okay.
All right. Cool.
Hi.
We're good. We can hear.
Yay!
Yay,
So-
cell phone.
Just so the viewers know, Tinsley, you're doing this from your van with Starlight.
Yes.
We're doing it from a boat out in the middle of nowhere, Virginia, also on Starlink, but it's okay for us all to have some technical difficulties because
That's sailing.
This is sailing. Yep.
That's right. And I'm getting prepared I'm hoping that I will be able, I lost my husband 8 months ago. So I've been just going through a really hard time, but I'm hoping that by October, I'll have the mental capacity to go on my boat again well, I'm grieving a lot. And it's just really sad,
Yeah.
But with I'm going to take, did Leslie tell you?
Yeah. And I'm really, really sorry to hear. I know it's been thinking about you. So.
Thank you. Yeah, we were together 25 years, so it's been,
Wow.
it's the worst thing. I don't wish this on anybody. So the
Yeah,
podcast
no.
helps, that I can get on here and talk to people like you. And but I'm hoping to go down to the Exumas this October. And
Awesome.
he's not here to take care of my cats, so they're going to come with me.
Great. That's good. Cats are good boat pets. They really are.
Yeah. So I'm going to be doing the podcast from there. So and I've got Starlink on the boat as well.
Great.
So, there's going to be a lot of podcasts like this with technical difficulties, I'm sure.
Yeah.
But anyway, I hope you're there. I know that you're. Oh wait, hello from Urbana V on a boat. Very sorry for your loss. Thank you, Lori. Thank you.
Oh, thanks, Lori.
I'm going to start crying.
What-
I hope maybe you'll be down there.
One of the things that we were kind of just talking about
Thank
before
you.
all the Yeah. Before all the technical stuff is, what's a good size boat? And your boat, you've got the 350 and
320. 320.
320. Oh, okay. Well, that's even better. I know that, you were used to sailing it together, but that's a perfect size to single hand.
Actually,
So,
I mostly single-handed. I was
yeah.
mostly single, but it
Okay.
was big enough for him to come with me, and it
Mhm.
was great.
Yeah. Hmm. Yeah. But that is a really, that's sometimes, and my theory on the size of a boat is, no matter who's aboard, you everybody needs to be able to run it on their own. So
True.
that's
Yeah.
a good, yeah.
Yeah.
So we're proud of you.
Thank you. Well, I learned
Very
it
good.
that way. When
Yeah.
I took my lessons, I said, you need to show me how to do this by myself, and then I kick him out of the way, and he goes, okay,
Thanks.
So
Like
I
it.
didn't want to have to wait on anybody to be in the mood or to get off work or anything. I just
Mhm.
wanted to be able to go, and so that's just the way it's always been for me.
Good.
Now it is nice when the wind's blowing and you're trying to come into the dock and you got somebody on board. So um, okay, so how do you coach someone through the pre-approval and the qualifying process for a boat loan? So I know you probably got your big cash buyers. I do in real estate, but then you got your
Mhm.
people that even when they're rich, they still want to get a loan.
Well, and the funny thing is too that, it's all proportionate, right? It's, the person who can put down, $500,000 cash on a boat, that's probably have a lot more money than that. Whereas the person who is putting down, paying, 60, $70,000 on a boat, that might be their whole retirement, right? That they might have cashed in their 401k to do this, or, whatever. So the money almost matters more to people with a smaller budget.
Mhm.
And I'm sure you see the same thing in real estate, but boat loans, just like anything, people should obviously look at their credit score, look at, the interesting thing is that lenders will do a longer term, kind of like they do for RVs.
Oh yeah.
Um, so yeah, so it's not uncommon to get a 20-year boat loan.
Oh, I
Interest rate,
didn't know that. Oh
yeah,
wow.
interest rates have been running. I get updates every month, but I think in the 7.5% to 8% right now, which is not great, but it's not terrible. But the buyer should connect up with a lender. We work a lot with Lori Kaiser at Ocean Point Lending. So a lender who's specifically works in boat financing. And the pre-approval process is it's like buying a house, but it's a lot more simple. They're basically just shopping loans for you, and there's sort of a boat loan broker. But
So I'd like to talk to her sometime and have her on the podcast. That's
yeah, absolutely. Yep.
I haven't had a lender on, so that would be great. So maybe you guys
Yeah,
hook us up.
she's fantastic. I'll connect you up with her. But it's the thing that's unlike real estate. People don't have to be pre-qualified before they start looking at boats. A lot of times with real estate, I think you have to have a pre-qualification letter and all that. And that can be frustrating because we do work with a lot of people who find the boat that they absolutely love, and their credit might be good, but for whatever reason, they can't get a loan. So that can be really disappointing for people. So it's something which she'd be a great person to have on the podcast.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and so it might be a good thing to get pre-qualified to have someone. Let's see what Marcy says. Best recommendations: have a prospective buyer speak with a lender before they select a boat. Helps the buyer be a wiser boat shopper. Is Marcy a boat broker?
Yes. So we have a team of almost all women. We've got some
Oh, Marcy, she's on your website.
yeah, yeah.
Okay.
We have some really great guys on the team, but we one of the things that when I set out to start this brokerage 5.5 years ago, I'd been working for another yacht broker for a long time. I wasn't going to be like, oh, I want an all women team, because there are many wonderful men in the industry, but there aren't very many women. The industry is still about 98% male. So I've got this group of, really wonderful women like my sister, and Marcy was literally my first broker when I started.
And she's awesome.
Yeah. Um,
Yeah, I
so,
saw her on the website. Like she posted when people sell stuff, and
yeah.
Carolyn's on there, and Marcy's on there.
Yeah.
So, well, cool. Hey, Marcy, we'll
Yes,
send
ma'am.
you a link. You can come in too. What changed in the boat loan world in the past year or so, especially in terms of interest rates and lender expectations? It's affected real estate for sure. Because I
Yeah.
sell mostly second homes, so that's an interest rate that is about 1% higher than if someone's buying a home. So
Yeah.
we're talking about 7.99, and that makes people push back a little bit. Is that the
Yeah.
same way with us?
Yeah, it's been pretty much exactly the same with boats. I mean, it's you know, or 4 years ago, well, but there people were getting interest rates under 5%. So, it's sort of, but I think, and I haven't talked to Lori about this. Usually I try to get an idea from her what's going on. It seems like they're going down a little bit again. And the things that affect that are the same things that affect interest rates everywhere. And there's been a lot of, and in the boat buying world, it's been a really crazy year because it was very slow for the first part of the year. People are sort of in that, post-election paralysis where nobody knows what's going to happen, and it doesn't matter what side of the fence you're on there. It's people don't want to spend their money. So now that that's kind of settling down a little bit, I think we're going to see interest rates go down. But that's just, that's kind of an outsider perspective.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
they need to. So it's probably similar to real estate where the sellers, you're having to have a talk with the sellers, and say, we got these challenges. Does that happen with the boats as well, where you have to have those talks with them, like, probably not going to get that high price that a couple years ago.
yeah. Yeah. So the thing that happened, and Carolyn, jump in. I feel like
No, it's
Yeah,
okay.
Carolyn, go ahead, Carolyn.
Well, a lot of people bought boats during COVID because they just wanted to, get away and be out on the water, escape the craziness. We all know how wild it was, hard. And because of that, it was definitely a seller's market. So now people are wanting to sell their boats, and it's just not the same.
Yeah, the person who bought a boat, 3 years ago for 200,000 is now realizing that their boat's only worth 150, and it's not because of the boat, it's just because of the market changing, and they want to sell it, and they're upset that they can't get that 200,000 out of it. And I think one of the things that I say to people all the time is that, I mean, I have this conversation almost every day. A boat is not an investment. It's, it would be nice if it was, but it's never an investment. It's investment in your dreams and your quality of life and your time and your joy, but
An
it's
investment in happiness.
Yeah, but it's not going to be a financial investment. You are going to lose money on a boat. It's just
Yeah,
around it. And
yeah.
brokers don't like to tell you that,
But it's true.
True. By the time you get, the things that break, you gotta want to be in there you gotta understand that there's gonna be lots of repairs. And SB, do you know this person, Bogumila? True that.
Yes, yeah, that's the Suyakis. Hi.
All your
So,
fans are here. Yeah, I mean, there's something about boaters, and I've never been a power boater. They're fun to ride on, but I can speak sailors. We got repairs, and we have to plan on them, and it's something you have to budget for, right? Do you talk to people about that?
we do. One of the one of my favorite things to ask a seller is, if you were to keep this boat for another year, what are the things that you would do? What are the upcoming projects? And that would give, that tends to give the buyer more of an idea of what the major things are.
Right.
But we do, and we tell people all the time. And, again, just like you, it behooves us to sell a boat for more money. But if, we think if that person has a budget of 100,000, we're probably going to go in and say, well, don't spend that all on the boat,
Oh, yeah.
and 75 or whatever, because A, you want to have some cruising money, and B, there are going to be things that you want to fix. So,
Right.
yeah.
Yeah,
So,
you want to have a little cruising fun
cruising
also.
kitty, yeah.
Cruising kitty.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so can you break down the typical timeline from inquiry to closing? So Carolyn, why don't we get you to answer that one?
Okay. Well, so inquiry to
Great
closing.
picture.
Well, it's usually about a month or 5 weeks in total, but the buyer will look at the boat, decide they want to make an offer, and then there's usually a little negotiation period. And then it takes usually a couple weeks to book a surveyor. Surveyors are very busy always. So there's a lot to schedule there. And then after that, usually like a week and a half.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, there's a lot of nuances and things that are different and unique for each deal. And so it's hard to really put it into a box, but usually about 4 to 5 weeks. Yeah.
Okay. So your surveyors are like a week out or 2 weeks out?
They've been, I mean, we're most of the folks that I've talked to now are 2 or 3 weeks out.
Mm-hmm.
And there's if you find a surveyor that's too available, you may want to think twice about that.
Yeah, that's true.
So, but we also, we as brokers, we don't recommend surveyors. We will guide people in the direction of how to find a good surveyor. They should go. There's the Society of American Marine Accredited Marine Surveyors. There's different
stamps.
Stamps, so we'll advise people to do their own research on surveyors. But that process from offer to survey can take 3 weeks.
Yeah.
And then once the survey's done, you've got to wait for the surveyor to write up the report. You may have to wait on oil samples from the engine to come back. And then the closing process takes about a week, because it is, a lot of people are like, oh, it's like buying a car. I want my boat today, and it doesn't work like that, because, we're as brokers, one of the things that we do is protect you as a buyer or a seller.
Exactly.
So we're making sure all the paperwork is legal and correct, and making sure that we've done an abstract and we know there aren't any liens on the boat. And we work with
Who does that for you?
So we actually work with a title company. We work with ASAP Marine in Miami. Everybody, I like them because they're actually owned by a law firm, so they're very very thorough. They've got a lot of different closing companies, so it's kind of like real estate working with a a title agency. So that's the best way to describe it. But it's a team process at that point. We're all usually shooting back and forth 10 emails a day, and okay, it's time for this paperwork and all that. But we try to make it as easy as we can. I mean, it's all, people, I think, still expect a boat closing to be a happy day where everybody, brings a bottle of champagne and we sit around the table in the salon and sign paperwork and all that.
I mean, that sounds really fun. Yeah. but maybe afterwards,
but realistically, everybody's usually in different locations. So it's all remote. It's, buyer could be in California, the seller could be in Virgin Islands, and the broker could be in Virginia, and no problem, we'll get it closed. So.
Right. Okay. So that's kind of like with what I do as well, because I sell gulfront condos, and the owners are everywhere, and the buyers sometimes don't come to closing either. Those are fun. So then you got the challenge of when it's absentee buyer and seller, then taking the boat, the possession of the boat, and is it gonna stay in that slip and all that. That's just some challenges that you have to work out with buyer and seller, right?
Yeah, especially staying in the slip because like marinas are pretty full. So that's always something we have to kind of educate the buyer on. If the slip's available to be passed on or not. And yeah, go for it.
Yeah, it'll, every handover is different. So,
Exactly,
a lot
yeah.
of times if nobody's in the same place, the seller will, leave the keys in the marina office and, in an ideal situation, a buyer and seller can get together and spend a day, going through the boat. But that is pretty rare, actually.
It is, yeah.
So, the handover is different every time. And it's just a matter of being organized and, getting explicit instructions. I mean, I just sold a boat that the owners had it on a mooring down in Coconut Grove in Miami. And they literally, the day they sold the boat, they wanted to take the boat off the mooring and anchor it. Well, the water taxi from the marina won't take you to an anchored boat. It'll only take you to a moored boat. So, they're like, okay, call, Joe at this number and he can run you out to the boat and, the keys hidden here and all that. So it's, there's some pretty interesting scenarios.
Yeah, every deal is unique in its own way and memorable.
Yeah, so it's a lot of problem solving.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
And sometimes quickly.
And sometimes what?
Quickly.
Yeah.
And this is funny. This is not like a, women are better, men are better kind of thing. But I think that, women tend to be pretty good at conflict resolution, de-escalating and conflict resolution. I had last week I had a survey that was about to happen, and it was another boat broker survey that I wasn't there for, but I was actually on my way to a different one. But it was really hot. We're in Virginia. We're on the Chesapeake Bay right now. Our brokerage is based out of Florida, but I'm cruising the Chesapeake this summer, and Carolyn's visiting because our mom's birthday is in a few days, and we're
Tell her happy birthday.
Yeah.
She doesn't know I am, but I've read about her. So.
She probably does now. She's probably watching this.
Oh, cool.
But we had three guys, right? We had the buyer, the seller, and the surveyor. So 3 guys and a boatyard that had already been paid in advance to haul the boat on survey day. There was a ton of coordinating involved to get the boat to where it was going to go. And buyer flew in from Colorado. They had the survey date, way ahead of time. Well, massive heat wave, like there's been in a lot of areas, huge heat wave in Virginia. The heat index was like 114 degrees or something like that. So the surveyor at the last minute was like, nope, it's too hot. I don't want to do the survey tomorrow. It's too hot and the boat didn't have air conditioning. So, we've got three guys, the surveyor and buyer and seller, trying to figure this out. They're all calling me. And I'm like, okay, go to Home Depot, buy a window unit air conditioning, put it in the companionway, cool the boat off, do the survey.
Are you serious?
Yeah,
you didn't tell me about
but
this.
it was that's the kind of thing a
Who paid
broker.
for that? Who paid for that?
They did it. It worked. Boat sold. Survey went well, but
That's
it's just these.
Well, who paid for the air conditioner?
Well, it was $120 unit. The buyer paid for it because he was going to keep it for a while.
Yeah.
Had I been in town and not on my way to North Carolina for another survey, I would have gone and bought the air conditioner myself.
For you.
Absolutely.
But
Yes. As a realtor, I've done things like that, and some things are disgusting that I had to do. Clean things up or whatever.
Oh yeah, there is some of that in this industry as well.
Refrigerators. Yeah, refrigerator nightmares.
yeah,
That's
toilet nightmares.
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's awesome. You do what it takes to make the sale. Let's see. Marianne, too funny. Your mama is not going to is not going to give you that. Do you know what that means? I
Wait,
don't.
what?
Oh, all right. Okay. So Marianne said this question: what's the best boat to buy for a 14-year-old to sail away from her mom and her fiance? And Lori said, too funny. Your mom is not going to give you that. So there's a whole conversation going on over here.
Yeah,
I assume that you know these folks. We're glad they're here. We're glad.
Marianne is my she's my daughter. She wants to sell away from.
Okay. Okay.
Thank you, Marianne.
Yes, thanks for that confidence.
All right. And so who's Lori?
And Lori is a friend.
Okay.
So,
All right.
friend
Let's see. Biggest mistakes you've seen buyers make during surveys or sea trials? Maybe overlooking something, like, oh, that won't be a big deal. Because you get so excited. It's so emotional.
Yeah, emotion. And, Carolyn, Carolyn was working, I'll let her talk about it, but,
Yep.
she was working with some buyers that she worked with for a year that were very emotionally invested in their search. And then things kind of went, a little south in the end, because at that point they were so, they'd been searching for a year. They had 2 kids. They were working with us specifically because we grew up on boats.
Yeah.
Like we work, we have kids. We want to go cruising. Let's work with Carolyn. But they got really emotionally invested in the search. So I don't know if that's something you want to talk about.
They did. They really did. And I mean, we researched so many different kinds of boats and went all over Florida, and they eventually decided on what they wanted, which was kind of a rare boat to find. So eventually, we found her and they bought her.
Yeah, but the challenge with that one is that, we knew exactly what they wanted, and, we've been working with them for
A year.
a year. And then, not every boat, not every broker, most brokers work very well together and co-broker together and all that. But when they got to this point, it was with a broker who, I guess had given a discounted commission or something and didn't want to work with another broker. So, refused. So they didn't
sell themselves.
Yeah.
So they didn't have the representation that they were.
Yeah.
We'd grown close. Like it was kind of painful.
We couldn't help them with the survey process. We couldn't help them, with the closing
You
process.
got cut out. You got cut out.
Yeah.
Yeah. But again, it doesn't benefit them. So if somebody's looking for a buyer's broker and, you have a connection and, then at the very last minute, it's like, oh, you can't be there on the survey with us. Like and when that happens, when you don't have an advocate, buyer's broker is an advocate, you are more likely to miss things.
Yeah.
More likely to
Absolutely
find things that have been glossed over. So,
yeah.
So I think, one of the biggest mistakes people can make is getting so emotionally caught up and being in love with the boat that maybe they don't look closely enough at certain things, or, they're ready to go. So.
Do you ever say, this one might not be for you because of A, B, and C? You said that you were interested, you wanted a boat to have this and that, and this one has got broken this and that. Or it doesn't, I'm sure you've had to talk people out of a boat before.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Or just offer solutions. I mean, if it's really the boat for them, be very realistic about it.
Yeah. One of the things that's most helpful is to have a pretty good idea of what things cost. Like if you're going to, have to replace the engine at some point, you've got to budget $20,000 to do that. So generally knowing, and I think most brokers do, generally have ideas as to, and most surveyors do too. This is here's a price range of, you've got to replace a boat's chain plates. Well, in one yard it could cost you $10,000, and another yard it could cost you 50. So you've got to take. We have to sort of take that into consideration with people. And again, we never want to. We want everybody to be happy, right? The best deal is a deal where the buyer's happy and the seller's happy.
Exactly. At the end of the day.
Yeah. So nobody feels like they got ripped off. Nobody feels, bitter or whatever. And, that's what makes a good deal.
Sure. Okay. Um, what kind of person makes a good boat owner? Maybe who maybe shouldn't buy or who shouldn't buy a boat? Have you ever had that come up where you're like, this may be not the best thing for you?
Well, well, with me, I mean, as far as somebody looking for a boat, I think that what I've run into is sometimes people, they want a boat and they want to buy a boat right now. And then you start working with them and they ask to see your, you know, sailboat listing, Beneteau maybe or whatnot. And then they start talking about maybe getting a Carver motor yacht, so I think like spontaneousness, either they've got to really kind of slow down or just
Yeah,
kind
they
of
haven't really thought about it, what they wanted.
yeah, but that's our job to help them guide them through that process.
Yeah, and I always say, I mean, it's we're not here to tell them how to live their lives. We're not the moral police. If you are, somebody who's fragile health wise, whatever, it's not my job to say, oh, you shouldn't be on a boat. But it is my job to say, okay, this boat has these features that might be helpful to you. This boat is easy to single hand, and if you do buy this boat, hire a captain. And this is so important. If somebody's not they're not experienced and all that. And if you're, and there are people that buy boats that, we genuinely worry, like you have a lot you need to learn. And we recommend that they hire a captain to work with them for a week or so, helping to learn about the boat. So, I think that there's a boat for everybody. I think,
Absolutely.
there's no wrong person for a boat. There's the wrong boat for a person. So.
Yeah, and I experienced that in real estate. Like, we're in a hurricane zone and we get hit a lot on the Gulf Coast of Alabama. And if someone is so concerned, everybody's a little concerned, but if they're just obsessed with the next hurricane, I've said, a Gulf condo might not be the best thing for you. You might
Exactly.
some people are just not that concerned. They just know it's gonna happen.
If it's not this year, it might be next year.
Right.
It's
And I'm
going
like,
to
I
happen.
think about getting a cabin in the mountains or something. But look what happened this time. This last year in North Carolina. But sometimes I can tell by their personality that this is maybe too stressful for them. And I don't know, maybe that comes up when someone's trying to decide between a powerboat and a sailboat.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. Typically they haven't weighed all the options, and they don't realize that a powerboat is going to cost them a whole lot of money in fuel, or that a sailboat, costs 10 grand to replace a set of sails. I mean, none of it's cheap.
Right. But we love it, right?
We love it.
Yes.
Do it because we love it.
How often do buyers think they're ready to cruise full time and then backpedal once they see what's involved? You guys could really speak to that.
Yeah, a lot. And it's funny, Carolyn and I were just talking about this, yesterday. Everybody goes through that panic mode. They buy every boat I've ever bought, I go through it. It doesn't matter how much people know, whatever. But you buy the boat and a month later, everything's breaking and you're freaked out and you're like, oh my God,
What did I do?
What did I do?
Yeah.
So she has some clients that are going through that right now. And we were talking about it. It's just like the freak out point that everybody has. And you either get through that or you don't. And, most people get through that, and
My clients will get through it.
yeah, they'll get,
They're awesome.
yeah. Most people, get through it and things are wonderful and all that. And it's good to have a friend talk you down, or a friend or broker or whatever, talk you off the cliff.
Yep.
But if like that month or so hits and they're just too overwhelmed, some people living in a house is easy. You have laundry, you have water constantly running, you have air conditioning,
And you don't realize how easy it is until
so you're not doing it. So there are people that, thought everything was going to be palm trees and coconuts and pina coladas, and realizing it's all, changing an impeller in rough seas and that kind of stuff. And they
All
just,
that glamorous stuff. you
yeah,
know.
they just don't want to do it anymore. And that's okay.
Yeah.
It's said, we're not here to judge or tell somebody, this is how you should live your life. We're here to support them. And, if they buy a boat from us, and we have a lot of people that come back and, have them have us sell their boats for them. And, it's just, it's not for everybody. It doesn't have to be.
And God bless them for trying. Right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. There's no shame. There's nothing
Yeah.
like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I've known people that buy a boat, get it all set up, go around the world or whatever they do, cross the Atlantic, whatever, and then that they're done, and they knew they would be done. That's all they
Yes.
wanted it for, and
Yes.
now they're RVing or whatever.
Yep. Exactly.
So you can help them too. Do you help people? Do you guide them how to set up a boat for each specific situation? I'm sure you do. You know
yeah.
what it takes to stay on a boat for 3 months in the exumates.
Yeah. And I think, because the equipment, do we need a water maker? Do we need, one of the biggest mistakes people will make is spending too much money at first. They think they need new batteries. They think, that, and you can live without those things. But one of my favorite things to see is when people will buy a boat and, cruise for a year, 2 years, and love it so much that they want to buy a bigger boat. And they're just like, we've got a lot of several folks that we're working with now, in that situation. So it's like, you love to see families, especially families with kids, adjust to it and embrace it. And, those are, those are the stories. Like, that's why we do this. That's why.
So he says it's all palm trees and cocktails by your second cruising season.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yes.
So do you guys do you get asked about when people want to think about raising their kids on the boat? I'm sure you guys get those questions
All the time. Yes.
That is so cool. Tell me about that. What kind of things have you helped people with?
Well, just things that they would never really think of at first, and just different scenarios with different kids. I mean, not everyone's the same. So
The thing about kids is they grow.
exactly. Yeah. So if you think that they fit now, just that science doesn't work that way. So they're going to get bigger, right? Like
So there are a lot of folks that move from a monohull up to a catamaran.
exactly. Yeah.
And one of the most important things that that sort of we know from our life and is that everybody has to have their own space, and it doesn't matter if it's a 35-foot boat or a 55-foot boat.
So important.
Kids need to have an area where they can go and feel like it's their own and decorate like it's their own and all that. Sorry, I'm like leaning towards trying to.
You're all amazing rock stars.
But
Jessica. So how did you guys handle that with you being in the V-berth together? You had your side, and you had the little curtain.
My mom made this nice netting, I guess.
yeah, it was
separate us.
setting the curtain so we
Yeah.
could see. We could
Well,
see
I
through
had
it.
the curtain. I remember shutting you off like many times, and I would listen to my music
Oh yeah,
and my boombox, and then she listened to her.
yeah.
Yeah. But we had our own space to do that, right next to.
Oh, if you listen to a boombox, how did that work? Because unless you had headphones on.
Sometimes I
Trying
started
to drown each other out. I guess.
Whoever
Whoever has the better one.
but giving your kids space to do what they need to do, right? Where we both love music. But I recently was working with a couple who moving up from our family, they're moving up from a monohull to a catamaran, and their son is all about playing Dungeons and Dragons, and so
I love Dungeons and
yeah,
Dragons.
no, it's great. Like he's going around on the catamaran that we're looking at, picking out his space. Okay, this is where I can set up.
Oh my God, I love him.
It was great. Yeah, and the really wonderful thing was that the parents were listening to that and open to that. And if you're thinking about taking your kids cruising, you can't take everything away from them. You can't. If they've got a hobby, you can't take it away from them. If they like to play the guitar, then you need to make sure that there's room on the boat for the guitar. If there's So
Yeah.
I think that
And oh, I just had something. No, I've lost it. I know. There's three of us. We like sailing, but as you know, there's a lot of women that the man's trying to pull the woman on, and she's just not into it. So I'm sure you have to deal with that because
I
if
yeah,
the woman is happy, the man's trying to make that woman happy, so she'll come on that boat.
yeah.
and sometimes they get kind of lost by just not like the woman needs to feel like she is part of everything. So like when we're working with a buyer, we make sure like in that kind of situation, you don't just show
Talk to the man.
the wife the galley. I mean, you show everyone everything, and just I've actually pulled people like the wife's aside sometimes, just kind of, and taken them around the boat just to kind of show them the things that sometimes they just don't know because no one's told them. It's not that they don't want to do it.
Yeah.
They just need to be like included sometimes.
And
Yeah,
I
and
mean,
you're listening to her needs because if it's not taken care of, it's going to be a problem.
well,
Yeah, better be.
it's amazing. It's amazing how many people will, I think this is one of the reasons why, a lot of female brokers do really well. But, it's amazing how many brokers will take a couple on the boat and, take the guy straight
Oh,
to the
I
shore
see that all the
and the
time.
women, straight to the galley. And, but women are really the decision makers in the process. Because,
Oh,
like you said,
definitely. In real estate
yeah.
too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but because if she doesn't want, guy wants to buy a boat, he doesn't care what kind of boat it is as long as she's happy with it, and she'll go.
This is true.
Or vice versa. It's but yeah, you always. I mean, I've done the same thing that Carolyn does when I'm showing a boat to a couple. Really, just be more talk with the woman. You just with any couple in any dynamic, you can usually see who's more comfortable.
Exactly.
With
Yeah,
the
you kind of have to like
yeah,
judge the situation and the dynamic.
yeah.
There's no one size fits all way to work with them, but it's
Before I started sailing, I did a lot of research, and one of the books I read talked about that it's important for the woman to know how to sail, not just taking orders. Because
I
how
mean
see
that
couples
that's
on boats, and sometimes it's kind of funny when they're fussing and fighting and everything. But I would always encourage the woman to go take separate lessons. Like, don't expect him
yeah.
to teach you, or vice versa. In my case, it was vice versa. And that she needs to feel comfortable if something happened to that man who fell off or something, that she could handle the boat.
Exactly. Yep.
Yeah, and that's very, very important. And that's so kind of in the beginning, like you're in the situation of sailing solo, and I feel very strongly about everybody being able to do a man overboard drill, to dock the boat, to take turns. Okay, you dock the boat today, I'll dock it tomorrow. You drop the anchor today, I'll just to know. And there's always going to be one person's might naturally be better at something.
Yeah.
But yeah, they're it's kind of horrifies me a little bit when
Only one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the woman just doesn't want to be it can get stressful on a boat, and if the man, or vice versa, is just barking orders all the time, if she doesn't know, it's just not going to be very fun.
I mean,
So,
you kind of shut down, and it's just
Yeah.
not. You don't feel included. Yeah.
right. Yeah, and just for everybody, let's see. Tell Oliver to come get me. That's Oliver Sailing with Phoenix. Show me the boat ropes. I love him. Y'all know who that is? You know who that is?
No, I didn't see
Sailing with Phoenix. No, not Jessica, but she's what she's talking about is Sailing with Phoenix. Did you? He left Oregon with 30,000 followers, and he got there to Hawaii and had 2 million. And
Yeah.
Anderson Cooper was talking about him. I mean, the world And 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 then there was some troll saying, "Oh, he didn't really do anything," and a million people have done that. But people fell in love with him and his
Yes.
story.
Yeah.
So anyway, I love Oliver. I've
He
interviewed
marketed, he marketed it right.
He sure did. He worked at it.
Smart.
Yep.
It's awesome.
Yep.
That's where I found him. She loves Oliver.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's see. If you had one piece of advice for someone who's about to buy their first sailboat, I know we might have already covered that. What would it be? Think about what you want to do with it, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yep. Yep. Where are you going? Who's going with you? How fast you want to get there? All that stuff.
How big your
And-
kids will get.
We want the boats.
Okay, I got some rapid fire questions. Okay, you ready? You ready? Okay. Dream boat under 100K.
So because we're on the phone now, we're not really able to hear the questions. So
Okay, dream boat.
Squint.
What's that?
yeah, if you see us looking,
The letters are very small, so we're trying to read
I
them.
hear Jessica talked with Oliver every day.
Yes,
That work?
that's what I heard. Yeah.
He thinks I'm fake. But she said, no, Marcy heard the question. Vagabond 39, is that what you're saying, Marcy? The question I asked was dream boat under 100K.
Yeah,
I
that
don't
bag we just sold was nice. I love island packets, and some of the I had a 35 island packet.
Yeah.
First generation, and I love that boat. I regret selling it.
Why? Why'd you sell it?
Because kids grow.
Exactly.
Because kids get bigger. So when I owned that boat, it was that we lived aboard. It was my daughter and me. She was I think 7 when we bought the boat, and then 11 or 12 when we sold it and
That's
bought a
plenty.
bigger. It was, and there were other factors that were that
She got a dog.
yeah, there were
and a
plenty.
boyfriend.
There were other other silly factors that shouldn't have.
So how old was she when you sold the boat? How old was your daughter?
She was when we sold the 35. She was 11, but I bought a Irwin 43 at that point, which was also so. These are all in the under $100,000 boat range.
Irwins are great cruising boats.
Yeah,
too.
that Irwin 43 was so much space, but again, an old boat that needed a lot of work that I had the desire to do, but I also between running a business and growing a teenager, you get pulled.
You hear that, Marianne?
You get pulled in different.
She's in here. How old is she now?
14.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, I'm putting it all together now. She's 14. You have a fiance. Okay. All right. I know what you're going to say about this. Mono or cat?
Actually, there's something for everybody. I'm a pretty hardcore Monohull girl, but I love. I mean, there's the space on a cat.
Mhm.
You can't beat it.
Yeah, I mean, I sold a cat to a couple, and they had 3 kids, and they wanted to cruise the Caribbean for like 7 months, and that was just perfect for them because I mean,
3 kids.
yeah, they all had their own space. It was a great time, and they were able to move off, and just it was a really good experience. And I think for them with the monohull, it would have been harder to find in their budget like that amount of space. But like long term, I think monohulls are, I don't know, that there's just something about monohulls and catamarans that don't
Yeah.
Sure.
It's lost my train of thought. Can you see that?
What did you say?
I said I lost my train of thought. So, and
What
did
about
to talk.
what about you? We know you're a Monohull girl right now, but would
Yeah.
you want a cat?
Well, there's just a lot of problems I see. Like, where would
Yeah.
I put it? There's not a lot of place to put it. They're also a lot more expensive, I thought. Isn't that
Yeah.
right?
yeah, you're paying for two hauls instead of one.
Exactly.
And where do you haul it out? A lot of these big cats have beams that are, 22 plus feet, and most boat yards can't haul them out. I'm up in the Chesapeake right now and have been just thrilled to see so many boat yards here that, oh my gosh, if you need to store your catamaran or work on it, come to the Chesapeake. But
That's awesome. It's good to know.
but
End of the day, right here, everybody heard that. If you have
yeah,
plenty of places to get hauled out on the Chesapeake.
yeah, yeah. But yeah, you're a lot of times if you dock, you're paying for two slips, or you're paying for
If they have to,
yeah,
yeah,
side by side. It's so yeah, it's you're maintaining two engines. There's just a lot. There's a lot more, than the initial cost of the boat to consider.
I think catamarans are best for the people that really want to cruise like the islands and
Yeah.
not kind of stay on the East Coast, that they want to do like what my clients did, just start in Grenada and then end up through the Bahamas and back here. It was perfect for them, but yeah, long term, like on the East Coast, it's got its challenges, but it's worth it.
Yeah, and it's gas, right? It's gas. And
Well, the extra cost of fuel.
Yeah. Well, some of them are gas. Some
Yeah.
of them have outboards.
Yeah, but
yeah, and they're super comfortable. I've been on them, and it wouldn't be practical for me. But a lot of people do have them, and they don't seem to have trouble finding a place for them. So
yeah, they're great for families. I mean, it's like we're saying, it's give your kids a space. So
okay, here's one for you, Carolyn. I'm gonna throw this one at you.
Oh,
What's
no.
worse? What's worse, a sketchy survey or an indecisive buyer? Make you think.
I didn't hear you.
Okay, what's worse, a sketchy survey or an indecisive buyer?
All. I think that there's no worse or better. A sketchy survey, I mean, we kind of have to adhere to what the survey says. So if a survey is bad, I mean, if it shows up a lot of stuff, there's no failing a survey. But it's really the survey and the buyer. If the buyer isn't interested in, understanding the survey or whatever, I'm trying to understand exactly what the question is.
yeah,
Sorry.
yeah, they're two different situations.
Yeah.
Okay.
But an indecisive buyer, I don't like that either, because then if they're not sure they want the boat, then they're probably going to regret buying it.
Yeah.
Like we can't talk somebody into spending $100,000 or whatever on a boat. Just if they're having doubts, there's plenty of boats out there.
Yeah. Or maybe they shouldn't buy one at all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
That happens in real estate. It's like they didn't really think of what was all in, and then they start looking. It's like, well,
Yeah.
Okay, so Melanie, what's the first boat you ever sold?
It was actually a Camper Nicholson 31.
Aw.
And this is fun. I was working for Edwards Yacht Sales, and it was a listing that the other broker in town didn't want. So he's like, "Hey, new broker, yay! Let's give her this." And that's how you learn. You learn to sell boats with those challenging. This one had been sitting in the yard forever and ever. It had lots of rat poop in it. So I went and cleaned up the rat poop to 2 photos.
Yeah.
So again, it's like you work your way up. You start.
And I want to tell you that Melanie made sure that I understood that when I became a broker. With the first couple listings that I was gifted, they were big challenges. Yeah. They were big challenges. So yeah.
So you get the listing that's not the cream of the crop. It's the more challenging of the boat.
And the brokers are really responsible for getting their own listings, and that you learn how to do that. We get listing
But at
leads.
first,
Yeah, and we'll get a listing lead, and I'll know that okay, Mars is in Puerto Rico. This boat's in Puerto Rico, so I'll send that listing lead to her. But for the most part, you start building a reputation, and people come to you. I mean, most of our business is referrals. But yeah, those challenging boats are the ones that you learn the most from, and
probably
Yeah.
the ones you'll spend the most time on,
yeah,
just because they are challenging, and especially when they're lower priced.
yeah, I think that.
Sometimes they look too good to be true, and that they are,
Yeah, I think it ended up, so the Camper Nicholson sold for like 15 grand or something like that, but it's yeah, we've there are a lot of challenges.
Let's see. What do you love most about working with boat buyers?
With working with boat buyers.
Your commercial right here. Pretend like you're talking to.
Just helping people guiding them in the process of sometimes discovering what they need to buy on their own, but just kind of guiding them along.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of how I see it.
They may come into it thinking they want a catamaran, and a monohull might be better for them. And
Exactly.
you can't tell them, no, this is what
I'm going to pull up your website,
awesome.
and so we can see your inventory.
Awesome. But, yeah, it's
And you can talk just a little bit about this, and this is your chance to.
Yeah, great.
Oliver needs a new boat.
All
Oliver Court.
All right, call us.
Does Oliver need a bigger boat with room for two? Is that what's going on?
Yeah, you can sell Oliver a boat. You'll get a lot of publicity if you do that. Because he's been on. I think he was even. Well, I know he got interviewed by some national.
Yeah.
Okay, so here is. Let's see
Oh,
if
yeah. There we are.
All right. So we have. Look, tell us about these here.
Yeah, all right.
They're very tiny now.
No, it's right. Yeah. The pictures are tiny. The boat.
Yeah, the pictures. Yeah.
But so the one that you can kind of see from a distance, that's basically, I refer to it as the pirate ship. It's a 1969 Sparkman Stevens wooden boat. So it's been on the market for a while, but that's a boat for somebody who really loves wooden boats and plans on having a boat that they work on a lot as a labor of love.
Yeah, I'm trying to get the picture. Okay, so there it is right there. That's the pictures. It's
Yes.
Yeah. That's the pirate ship.
What is that? Wow.
Oh
my gosh.
so cool.
She is gorgeous. Look at that.
I know. And the master.
So that boat is 144.5, 1969 custom 60-foot Sparkman.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
It's got to be somebody who really loves a wooden boat, though, and wooden boats are hard. So I've had a lot of dreamers look at that boat,
but there's always one person out there who just takes the
There's a boat. There's the person for every boat, the boat for every person.
My gosh.
This might be your next boat.
Yeah.
It's kind of like Captain Ron's boat. Look at this right here.
It's totally a Captain Ron boat. Yeah,
Absolutely.
What is this brick? Is that?
It's got a fireplace. It's an actual wood burning fireplace.
Gosh.
That's amazing.
Okay, this is awesome. There it is out of the water.
Yeah.
So it's full keel.
Yep.
And it's 60 foot.
Yep.
Amazing. Have you sailed it? There you are sailing it right there. What?
No, I have sailed it, and it moves. It moves kind of like an island packet. People think they're not going to move that well, and they move great.
Yeah. Island packet's so great.
Yeah.
Well, I just tell people I'm not out there to win a race.
Exactly.
Okay. So let me get this other one here. Let's see what else you got. This is what you do, right?
Yep.
Sorry, it's taking so long.
Oh, you're
Okay,
fine.
so we got another 60 foot.
I love that boat. That's a Windship 60. Very, very
Gorgeous.
few of them built. It would be an amazing boat for a family. It's
Like circumnavigation.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
solid fiberglass, built in Florida. Just absolutely stunning interior. Again, that would be a great boat for a family wanting to cruise on a large monohull. It's got 3 staterooms, and that's rare. So that's, if you've got 2 kids or whatever,
Look at that deck.
yeah, that boat's gorgeous. It's in St. Augustine, and they are asking, I think we just reduced it to $319.
Yeah,
So it's, yeah.
it was built in Tampa, Florida. Wow.
Yeah.
Like, you got some classic boats.
Yeah, and it's funny, I think because of our background, people do come to us with, classic cruising monohulls. That's just sort of what our
What a great niche.
yeah.
And this
Yeah.
one must be Marcy's, because this is
This is Puerto Rico. Yep.
Puerto Rico. That's 142, so that's a cat.
Yeah. Yeah.
51-foot Veneto, 1986 for 49,500.
Wait, which one is that? Oh, that's Daryl's. Yep.
It
That's
took me to a different screen, so I
that's
have
not
to.
Daryl's. That's Logan's listing. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's yeah. So some of these we're not going to know a whole lot about because they're some of my other other brokers, but that
Look
boat's
at him. He's a little hottie, Logan.
I hope he's watching.
Hey, Logan. Marcy had something to say. She said, Selena's catamaran, 53-foot custom Airex core, 53-foot catamaran, 50 years old, rock solid, but needs lots of TLC. Blueprints are on board. She sounds like real estate agents. She's like,
Yes.
hey.
She's great. And that's the thing with all of these boats. You have to be honest about what their faults are. Like
Exactly.
this Veneto is huge. It's a great deal, but it also has been sitting in a marina for a long time. And
Project, but a worthy project.
yeah, so
Have to be realistic.
she's going to need work, but you're not going to get a 50-foot boat for 50 grand or whatever that doesn't need a lot of work. So
I've never seen a Veneto like this.
it's a cool boat.
So, kind of an old school Veneto. I mean, it's
Right. 1986 radio.
exactly.
Sturdy hardware. Bulletproof rigging and speedy sailing. Interesting. And it's a project boat, apparently.
Yeah. That's not, it's not a project boat like you'd find abandoned in a boatyard.
Yeah, I mean,
It's
she's
boat
in a
that needs-
slip, and
needs a lot
That's not a bad thing. It's like when I'm selling condos, if they're handy buyers, that's a
Yeah,
great
exactly.
deal for them. If you're a handy person, you can fix up a boat.
exactly.
It could be a good deal. I don't know much about the boat, but
Well, another thing with that one and with a lot of boats, like we talked about the transition from owner seller to buyer, like that one is in a slip at a live aboard marina. So somebody could, come along and buy it, and live aboard marinas are very, very hard to come by. So
yes.
that's a plus for that boat.
yeah, it really is.
Okay. All right. So let's look at a couple more. Which ones are your listings? Man, you got some big boats here. You got all right. It's because it takes you to a new screen. I have to share every time.
Yeah.
So y'all, that's the way the website's set up. All right. So I'm just gonna kind of brush through these. These
Yeah.
are big, 47-foot Formosa.
Oh, I love that boat. I love it so much. It's actually more of a Captain Ron boat.
That is the captain.
It is beautiful.
It is? Okay.
It's beautiful.
Wow. It's got a stateroom in the back there.
Yeah, that actually, if I were boat shopping right now, so where my fiance and I are on an Island Packet 44, it's his boat, and it's wonderful. I absolutely love it. We're not at all looking for another boat, but I almost called him when I was on that one and said, "Hey, what do you think
You should have.
Because it doesn't have air conditioning. The bottom hasn't been painted in 12 years, but it's in beautiful
Wow.
shape. The interior is stunning. Anyway, you gotta tell people the good with the bad. So
Sure.
Yeah.
I mean, 1981, and then you got a 2006 47-foot Hans. Is that how you say that?
Yep.
Hans?
Yep, Hans. Yeah, that's Marcy's listing. So yeah.
Hey, Marcy, man, you're doing great. Okay,
Yeah,
47
girl.
foot Bristol,
Yep.
1979. These are classic.
Yep.
46-foot Island Trader. Oh, here we
Yeah,
go.
that's a cool boat.
Whiskey River. 46-foot
I love that
Irwin.
name.
Yeah. Yeah,
Wow.
yeah, that Irwin was my old boat actually.
Ah,
It's
okay.
been bought and sold by multiple people since I owned it, but that's always a little sentimental.
45-foot Hatteras. 45-foot Prout.
Can
Um,
we talk about the 440 Island Packet?
oh my gosh.
She
357.
is stunning, and honestly, the sellers are the most amazing people. They take such good care of her. She's gorgeous.
Wow. Okay. You guys really, you got your niche here. 44-foot Gulf Star, 43-foot Slocum. How do I know that name? That Slocum is who? Somebody famous went around the world in one of those, right?
Well, actually, it was Joshua Slocum who the design is named
I don't
after.
know the name.
Yeah. The boat's named after him.
Wow.
Yeah, it's funny too. Being in a niche, we don't. We sell everything. We sell a lot of power boats, but we kind of by default these are sort of the listings that we get. But
Oh,
you know,
I'm impressed.
we're
mean,
we're we've got a lot of catamarans. We've got and again, we're kind of working with everything.
And we've got a really beautiful.
I'm shocked. Look at 41-foot Concordia, 41-foot Dickerson.
So that Dickerson was Mr. Dickerson's boat that he had built himself in the Chesapeake Bay to go to Tahiti. He never made it quite there, but the really cool thing about that boat, other than the fact that she's awesome, she's got a great center cockpit layout. She even has a rum tank where
Okay, I'll pull
a
this
10-gallon tank where you put Mountain Gay rum in, and it just like a spigot. Yeah. I mean, it's wild. She is amazing. Yeah, there
So
she is.
it wasn't built during Prohibition. So
Clearly not.
On Chesapeake Bay has the ultimate CC cruising design layout with a rare, unique pedigree. Oh my
And
gosh.
she also has a transferable liverboard slip.
Oh my gosh. So let's just look. We're talking about sailboats, so I could just sit here. Look at that deck. Oh no, the seats.
Yep, they got port and starboard, red and green little marks on them.
Oh, I wouldn't know where to start if I was going to buy a big boat like this. That heater. Oh my gosh. Well, you guys, and it just keeps going. Oh my! How many listens do you have, or you may not even know?
We've got I think 29 right now.
Yeah, I think I have personally eight or nine. Yeah.
Yeah,
Congratulations.
we usually carry anywhere from like 25 to 40. So that's pretty typical. There's some power boats.
Yeah.
It's fun. Like I love this. We're doing it because we love it. Like each one of those boats, like I'm smiling when I talk about them.
Yeah, they have a story.
The stories. The wooden one that we looked at first, Lynn and Larry Pardee sailed across the Atlantic as they delivered it as a delivery crew. Like these boats have so many great stories to them. The rum in the Dickerson. I mean,
It's just like, how cool is that?
yeah.
I know that's a good selling point.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
okay, so you got the main ship. Yeah, okay. 30. So a lot of sailors kind of go to eventually. they'll go to that, right?
exactly make the transition, and that is totally fine. It's
Sure. Just
yeah.
stay on the water as long as you can. 35 foot caliber, 37-foot Beneteau, 40-foot Lagoon.
That's a nice one.
Gorgeous.
Yeah,
What is this one?
so that's a little. It's a replica of a Barnegat Bay catboat, and I think it's the biggest catboat out there. I don't know. There's a cool story to that one too, but it's wooden and it's
Wow.
in Oriental, North Carolina. Emily's listening. She's another one of our rock star lady brokers.
Right, Lady Broker.
Yeah.
Look at that thing. That
I
is
know.
unusual.
She got to sail it. I was so jealous.
Oh man. Yeah, she posted pictures
Yeah.
on the back.
Oh my gosh. I want to see the inside. Lots of outside pictures. She did a great job.
It's more of a day sailor. I'm trying to remember. I haven't seen it in person, but there is it does have again I can't picture the inside because I haven't seen it. But
Well, okay, so 65,000. Okay, well, the bottom line is you have a lot of really great listings and you're very qualified to help people. So what a pleasure it has been for you guys to come on here.
Well,
And
thank you. Thank you. The pleasure has been ours.
well, and hopefully I'll see you out there in different places. And as soon as I
Yes.
get back on my husband passed away while I was on the boat, so I've been having trouble getting back on it.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
my friend Dana said it's not the boat's fault. So she likes the day sailor. So
Yeah.
anyway, I'm working on that. I'm trying to get back out there. But what a pleasure. Carolyn, it's so great to finally meet you.
It's awesome to meet you too. Thank you so much for including me.
Yes, and I will definitely try to send business your way. I know a lot of boat brokers, but you guys have a great niche. You really do. I mean, your experience, and look at all these great listings you guys have. You have a great team. All right,
Yeah.
I'll stop saying great. It was great meeting you, Carolyn, and it's good to see you, Melanie.
Yes.
And we'll have to do this again and come back on.
Definitely.
Yes.
Maybe you guys could come on with the lender. That would be awesome.
Yeah.
All right. Well, all right. We'll go ahead and end this. And the way I always end things is to say, salty abandoned.